Hi friends, let's talk. So, today's topic of conversation, the D-Man, Donald, the notorious Donald Trump, the current president of the United States. And why? Please, if you can vote, please listen to this. We need to vote him out of office this year. And I'm not saying this as a party affiliate. I'm not campaigning. I'm not doing anything political really, other than just expressing that as a human being, I need the democracy to be better. Cool. Okay, so what I'm going to say before I actually get into this is, realistically, if you still think at this point that you're going to vote for Donald Trump and are staunch in that opinion, I'm not going to change your mind. I have nothing over anyone else other than my winning smile and personality. I'm probably not going to convince you. So, see ya. Who this is more aimed at is the on the fencers. The people who in 2016 were so disenfranchised with the fact that they didn't have someone they liked to vote for that they just didn't vote at all. And I'm here to tell you that that is not an option this year. That's not an option. Okay, so, first things first. For the sake of argument, Donald Trump hasn't achieved nothing while in office. It would be unfair, she says reluctantly, to say that he hasn't achieved anything. He has. Whether or not you like what he achieved, he has achieved things. So, for instance, he influenced probably 25% of the current judiciary, the current federal judiciary. There were 2 Supreme Court justice appointments, like 55 circuit judges, and I think 187 or something lifetime appointments made by him in his 3 years so far. So years after he's gone, he'll still have some influence in the current judiciary. Let that sink in. Then there's the fact that, again, whether or not you think this was a good way to spend the United States' money, the Space Force was created, and it is the 6th branch of the military, and we are now safe from space threats. I'm trying so hard not to be condescending right now. Okay, moving on. The tax reform. So he helped pass a Republican tax reform that slashed corporate tax rates from like 35% to 21%, I think. Again, whether or not you think this is a good thing, it was an achievement. However, there were a lot of very ambitious points in that tax reform, and other than slashing corporate tax, none of them have been achieved. So let's keep that in mind. There was also the fact that he did not, for clarification, defeat ISIS. He did help eliminate a lot of territory. ISIS is still alive and well, though, so let's keep that in mind. He falsely claimed that he had defeated ISIS. Him, mind you. Not the military, him. And then he did help pass the First Step Act, which was a prison reform act, and it's a relatively modest amount of change, but a lot of activist groups that are lobbying for prison reform said that this was, kind of a first step in the right direction for getting more prison reform. All right, so we covered some of his achievements. It was only fair. In fact, I wouldn't even say that he's bad at what he does. He's bad at leading, but I don't think he ever really planned on leading. I think what he wanted to do was destroy and build a world for his type of person, which is the 1% millionaire, billionaire status, corporate energy. The claim that he was the friend of the working man was see-through at the time. I get it, he was the businessman, he was the maverick. If he had any diplomacy at all and wasn't such a liar, he probably could have made some difference. He claimed he was going to drain the swamp. He hasn't drained the swamp. He hasn't. There's been no diplomacy, no political action, really at all, that was of his own volition. Take, he promised to repeal Obamacare and replace it with something. Mind you, it's actually called the Affordable Care Act, and I wonder if nobody had put Obama's name in front of it. Like if somebody just showed someone a piece of paper with what the Affordable Care Act actually does if people would take issue with it quite as much. But yeah, I mean, Donald Trump promised insurance for everyone. And so far, Obamacare still stands after the historic thumbs down by John McCain. Obamacare still stands, and there's no standing plan to replace it or repeal it or anything really. There's no follow through. This is the issue. You can destroy as many things as you want, but if you don't have something in place to take the place of what you've just destroyed, all you're leaving is a void. This also is a massive pattern with him, is backtracking on everything that he says. I took notes, lots of them. I have 8 pages of notes. Let's talk about COVID a little bit, right? Okay, so on the 25th of April, he said that he never said the pandemic was a hoax. The quote was, "I never said the pandemic was a hoax." 2 months earlier, at a South Carolina rally, he said, and I quote, "Now the Democrats are politicizing the coronavirus, and this is their new hoax." May 24th, the day that the U.S. reached the 100,000 death milestone, I guess, benchmark, Trump used the Memorial Day weekend to call out women on Twitter. Not to express remorse for his lack of leadership during this, to call out women, and I'm talking like, he called Stacey Abrams Shamu. He accused Nancy Pelosi of drinking booze on the job and referred to Hillary Clinton as a skank. Is this really the kind of language that we want somebody leading the free world to have? I'm sorry. The argument that people liked Donald Trump because he didn't come off as too smart or smarter than them, the constant argument that Democrats are holier than thou and think that they're smarter than everyone else. I want the person leading the country to be smarter than me. I don't want to feel like I could be the one to do the job. I don't want to feel like I have to step in and be better than somebody who's leading my country. It's so disheartening. Trump said that if the U.S. was able to limit COVID-19 deaths to like 100,000 to 200,000, that would be a success. 100,000 to 200,000 people dead is a success to this man. He doesn't care about his people. He's never cared about his people. And this is a person who has managed to infiltrate 25% of the judiciary system. Imagine what he could do with another 4 years in office. Moving on from that, I mean, I could spend all day talking about COVID. I'm not going to, but I could. Let's talk about the fact that he disrespects women. I'm sorry, if you are a woman and you are voting for Trump, what are you doing? What are you doing? Let's see. Okay, I have a list of people that accused him of rape or sexual abuse. Okay, so there's Jill Harth, Temple Taggart, Cassandra Seals, Tasha Dixon, Mariah Bellotto, Rachel Crooks, Jessica Leeds, Mindy McGilvery, Jennifer Murphy, Natasha Stoyno, Lisa Boyne, Kristen Anderson. I could go on. There are like 7 more women here. And that was just while he was running for office. There are links between him and Epstein. And I'm not saying he's the only person, but why have we allowed somebody to be in office who doesn't respect 51% of the population of the world? There's something so wrong with that. There's something so deeply wrong with that. It's disgusting the way he treats women. There's no other way to put it. It's disgusting. And I don't want to be disgusted by how somebody treats another group of people. I don't. I'm not saying I can already feel arguments building here. I'm not saying that Democrats are perfect. Again, this is not a party issue. If I were a Republican, I'd be just as disgusted by how he treats women because I am a woman. It feels like a personal attack. I know that I was never abused by him, but it feels like I am because he is in a place of power and he is dictating what is okay for other people. This surge of nationalist, fascist, white supremacist, sexist, homophobic, racist behavior has grown so fervently because by voting him into office, we said that these values are okay to have. People in power are allowed to have these values, so that must mean that I'm allowed to have these values. Peaceful protests being met with guns and being met with tear gas and batons, and federal officers being sent in from a federal office to deal with an issue that should have been under the jurisdiction of the city, Portland, what is being proposed in Albuquerque, Chicago, and many other cities. What we're seeing is autocracy, and we're seeing the rise of horrible values that realistically, as the United States, we should never have embraced, let alone be fostering. And he lies. He lies all the time. But he gets away with it. Because in the same way that all of these women came forward and said that he had sexually abused them and nothing happened, he lies and nothing happens. There are no consequences to his actions. And it just leads me to wonder, okay, so we're okay with racism and homophobia and sexism and transphobia and lying, apparently, and yet we continue to call ourselves the leaders of the free world and the heads of democracy. We're not there, folks. We're not there. There absolutely are issues with both sides. But I suppose my question is, would you really rather have another 4 years of chaos? Or do you want somebody who can actually do the job? I'm begging you. I'm begging you. We need to be better. We need to be better. Because if this is what the US is, I'm ashamed. I don't want to be tied to this anymore. I don't want to be embarrassed about where I'm from, and I'm embarrassed right now. So, yeah, vote. Vote, 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 vote. All right, I hope you all have a swell day. If you guys want me to talk about anything else, let me know. Otherwise, that's all for me.